Hello and welcome to Stretch Break with Lauri. This introduction to our previously released Right to Work refresher is a further explanation of the purpose of that video because I've received some concerned feedback, especially from some union business managers and members about the purpose of that video. So I want to make it clear that I'm in no way encouraging employers to tell employees not to join the union or to withdraw from the union if they're currently members. I would like to remind those of you who may not have been aware of this, the association actually partnered with the Wisconsin Pipe Trades and Sheet Metal Workers Local 18 to lobby against the Right to Work law coming into effect because we didn't believe it was the right thing for our industry. So again, my comments in that video are in no way intended to be supportive of the Right to Work law, but unfortunately it is now the law of the land. And so the intent of the video that follows is to make sure that employers don't inadvertently run afoul of the law. The video was actually conceived because we have an employer who has had an unfair labor practice charge filed against it due to inadvertently potentially violating the Right to Work law, and that's why the refresher was put out there. So please remember that what follows in the video is intended only as guidance to employers to avoid violating the law, and it is certainly not intended to discourage union membership. We still do consider the unions our partners and work with them every day to make the industry a better place for both employers and workers. Thank you very much and enjoy the video. Hello and welcome to Stretch Break with Lauri. Today I'm going to be giving you a Right to Work refresher. You might remember Wisconsin became a Right to Work state about 2 years ago. And at the time there weren't very many practical changes from an employer perspective under that law, but the issue has been coming up a lot more recently because all the benches are empty and many employers are recruiting non-union people to do collective bargaining work. And they're wondering what their rights and responsibilities are in terms of interacting with the union under the Right to Work law. So just as a reminder, what is Right to Work? Before Right to Work became the law, each of our labor agreements contained language that required an employee performing collective bargaining unit work to become a member of the union within about 8 days of employment. The Right to Work law made that language illegal, so it's no longer enforceable under the law. The decision is now completely up to the employee about whether or not to join the union or to remain a union member. Now, it's important to note that there is a legal distinction between the concepts of collective bargaining unit member on the one hand and union member on the other hand. That distinction was never really important before Wisconsin became a Right to Work state because of the language in the agreement that required all collective bargaining unit employees to become union members. So on the Venn diagram of who was a collective bargaining unit member and who was a union member, the circles completely overlapped. There was no question about any difference between the two classifications. That's no longer the case. What Right to Work did was essentially create a different Venn diagram that you'll have to keep in your mind when you're dealing with hiring new employees. So the Venn diagram now looks like this. So the large circle is everybody who is performing work covered by the collective bargaining agreement. Those people qualify as collective bargaining unit members. But then there's a smaller circle within that circle, and that circle represents union members. Now, the only difference between the people within the larger circle and the smaller circle is that the people within the smaller circle, the union members, are people who have actually decided to become or remain union members and pay dues to the union. They still perform the same work, they're still entitled to the same benefits and the same pay under the labor agreement, And interestingly, the union still has the obligation to represent them relating to bargaining unit matters, including conditions of employment and pay and things like that, even though they're not paying dues to the union. Also, the right to work law did not change your obligation as an employer to follow the hiring process outlined in the collective bargaining agreement. So when you hire somebody who is not currently a union member, you still follow the same procedure that you would have under the old regime, and that is you send them over to the union hall for the union to give them paperwork to sign them up for all the union benefits, which would include the health insurance, the 401k, and the retirement plan. And it's at that point that the union has a conversation with the collective bargaining unit member about whether or not he or she wishes to become a union member. That is a conversation between the collective bargaining unit person and the union. It is not a conversation you should be having with your employee, because it's actually illegal for the employer to interfere with that decision. So from your perspective as an employer, really nothing has changed. The process is still the same. You bring someone in, you decide to hire them. If they're not already signed up for union benefits, you send them over to the union to fill out the appropriate paperwork. The employee decides whether or not to pay union dues or not. You should not be influencing them either way. And very importantly, you should not be saying to them, either verbally or in writing or in any kind of advertisement, that they have to join the union in order to work for you, because that's not true. They will become members of the collective bargaining unit and will be entitled to all the rights of a collective bargaining unit member, but they do not have to become union members. Now, if you have more questions about this, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. We have plenty of resources available to help you with these issues, including a podcast and several frequently asked questions documents. So if you would like access to any of those items, please leave a comment in the comment field below. And otherwise, have a great day. Thank you.